basically every Java program consists of many classes. We've usually just used one class, like this main class here. But the thing is, we can have plenty of classes, and we're going to be creating them to fit our needs. For example, let's imagine we're working for a college. College has hired us to make a system for them. Well, what classes would we have there? Well, we would have a class like named college or something like that. And then inside of that class, we could save all the data about the college. Then we could have students, professors, and so on, So we would have all the classes for our needs for that college's, I don't know, whatever they want us to make. For example, we can have a class called, I don't know, classroom, and the classroom would have a schedule and so on, It all depends on what you're trying to basically create. And that's one of the main things in object-oriented programming. That's called, what is it called? It's not encapsulation, it's abstraction. Basically, we need to abstract what we're going to be saving about college, because college in the real world has like many things about it, but we only need what we need. We probably are not going to need the dimensions of the building, unless we're creating a program for, I don't know, like some engineers that are going to be working with the building, or architects. If we're making a program for architects, college is going to be completely different than if we're making a college class for, I don't know, like just keeping track of, some things like professors and students and their grades. So that's called abstraction. You need to abstract what things are important for your particular use case and which things are not important, So of course, we're not going to save everything there is to save about college, only the things that concern us at that point, So we can have something like name, and we can have something like address, and I don't know what else the colleges have. Let's say, I don't know, some certification or something, like maybe a country, string country or city, because the address is just going to be like the street address. We can even name it street address, and country and city. Those are the data that we're going to be having for college for now, and then later we can add more and so on. So now let's create a class called student. Again, if you right click here and click new, there is Java class, and of course you can also click here and do Alt insert. That's the shortcut. And then you hit enter and you get this thing, student. Let's see, for students, we can have something like private string name. We have to have some kind of an ID. I would say like private string index number. It can be, even though it's a number, for me, it was something like 2013-133. It has this thing, so it's going to be a string. We can even represent it. This is another thing that you're doing. You're designing the thing to fit your needs. I can save these two pieces of data in so many ways. I can save it as two integers, which is probably a smart way to do it, because then I have a year at which I enrolled in college, and I also have some kind of a number, and taken together, they're my index number. That's what it's called in Serbia. I'm not sure what it's called in like in English, but that's your student number, whatever you want to call it. So if I save this as a string, I will always be having to manipulate it as a string. I cannot compare like a year. I kind of can, because they are all in the same format. So I can split this via split method of the string, and I can work with the year and with the number, or I can save it as two different things, like private int year of enrollment, and like private int number, like index number, index num or something. Those are the two ways that I can save this piece of data. And this is what you're doing basically as a programmer. You're designing things to fit your needs. Which of these two ways are we going to be using? Well, let's just use the string one for now, but there is no one way to do this. There's things that you can do with a string. There's things you can do with numbers. And I could also save like each of these as a char or something. I can even save this as a special char, but that just, overkill. It's enough to have like these two pieces of data. And if we know that our use case is never going to be like, hey, give me all the students that are enrolled in 2014. Well, then I can just use a string. If I have a task where I would be like sorting the students by year, or give me all the students for all years that have some index number, I would save these pieces of data as separate pieces of data, because then it will be just easier to do that thing, you know. So what you're basically going to be doing, this is all up to you. You can save data in various kinds, and then, I mean, some things are going to be easier to work with in some contexts, and other things are going to be easier to work with in some other contexts. So maybe I might even get rid of this and use these two, because now I can get all the students that are from 2013 or 2014 or something like that, you know. So basically, you know, I am going to be just working with these two pieces of data, and later I can create a method, and we'll see that in a short bit, where I can create a method that will just return them as this, if I for some reason need to display my, you know, index number as this form, because this is the form that they used in my school. I mean, you can assume that there's probably in some like international schools, you can have something like 2013-ABC-Milan- I don't know, some number. This can be your index number. How do you save this? Well, you can save it as one giant string. You can save it as 4 pieces of data that are separated with dashes, even if there's different separators. I mean, you can imagine this would be your year, this would be your, I don't know, like semester or whatever it's called, this would be your some kind of username, this would be, I don't know, some number. It's all up to you how you want to save your data. You're the designer basically, and you're going to suffer the consequences if you designed it poorly, you know. So okay, let's see. Yeah, here it says basically a program is like a designer. You need to create the blueprints, and the only thing that you need to be thinking about is what are you going to be using your classes for. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna want to have all the students that have some year of enrollment. So that's why I split my data into two things, right? Okay,